I just want to do a quick look in. This is not going to be a playthrough. I'm just kind of experimenting and learning. But Horse and Musket, Dawn of an Era from Hollandspiele. Again, Age of Reason. I'm obsessed right now. And I wanted to check this out. It looks like a cool system designed by Sean Chick. This is the core game, comes with a bunch of battles from the Age of Reason. And I've pimped out the game with some World of Fun minis. These are printed on lucite. As you can see, they're this way, but when you look at them sort of from the front and the rear, I'll try and give you a better example. They look great on the table. I'm also using some hex terrain, flocked hex terrain that I got from a UK company called Kallistra. So we have some 3D effects to the battlefield. Here you can see the British lined up, and I love that the minis, when you look at them from the rear, have the rear of the mini facing you, which is cool. We're facing off against the Scottish over there. And we're going to be, basically, it's the Battle of Sheriffmuir. And the reason I chose this is because it's a pretty interesting scenario, or a pretty simple scenario to learn the system. It doesn't look too complicated. It's kind of like Commands and Colors, but not really. This is more of an evolution of the Hold the Line series, if you're familiar with that. But we pimped out the components. So you can see the counters are in the hexes with the units. This is an 18mm scale, but I just think it looks fantastic on the tabletop. You get these two hills here with some elite infantry and some British cavalry, some of the leaders. And so I'm using little minis, these cool 2D minis from World of Fun as a stand-in for the counters to play the game, and some epic looking terrain. Let's take a look at the Scottish. We got a bunch of Highlanders in here, some cavalry. There's a banner carrier, and this comes down this way. There's some swamp terrain. I don't have any 3D swamp terrain, so I'm just using the core tiles, but I think it works okay. Got some Highlanders in there. We also got some irregulars here, as you can see. I really think the World of Fun minis are really high quality for what you get, and there's no painting or assembly required. They just come, you pop them out of a sprue. They're basically plastic counters with some awesome Peter Dennis artwork on them. So this is what I'm going to be checking out today, and I'll show you a little bit of how the battle unfolds. Just had a Highland charge across the field against the British. They failed their morale check, and the Highlanders did a number on them, knocked them down to 2 morale. I ended up adding some more mini figures to the British regulars. Since they have 4 morale, it makes sense that we get 1 morale per line of the formation. So it actually looks quite cool on the table. You can see that the giant block of British line infantry versus the sort of disorganized rabble of the Scottish Highlanders. So when we knocked this down to 2, we took a standoff. Plays like a little bit like a minis game. And then here we had a Highland charge that just charged right into a volley of British fire with this British leader here, and just annihilated those Highlanders. It was suicidal. Thought maybe I could get away with it, but the morale is a little bit tougher when you've got a leader. And we're going into turn 3. Let's see what the British are going to do. I think I want to move the elite infantry forward. The Scottish are doing quite the number on the British. I think the British are still winning by a point or so, but the charging Highlanders have been devastating. The British cannot make a morale check to save their life. And now we've got sort of an outnumbered situation here after the right flank of the British line collapsed, and all that's left are British cavalry facing off. We got some British units way out over here, kind of in no man's land. We got some dragoons who are trying to move up along with the subordinate leader. And then we've got these British line infantry who have gotten way out of position. So we'll see what happens. And it ends up being a Highlander victory with a close combat into the rear of the British cavalry. So looking like the British are going to want to retreat in short order, given what they've got left on the field. Pretty fun system. This is my first experience with it. It definitely it's different than Commands and Colors. There's a lot more control, a lot more strategy, really, in terms of what you're doing and how you're picking your actions and so forth. It's very customizable. There's a lot of optional rules and ways that you can play it, and I think the game looks great with minis on this terrain. I am very pleased with how this looks. This was just a very basic intro scenario. Now that I'm kind of getting to grips with the system, the one thing I'd say is it probably needs a better player aid, but surely there's something on Board Game Geek. In the meantime, I'm just going to stare at how beautiful this looks, and probably get it to the table again with some friends, but I hope you enjoyed this little look at my pimped out version of Horse and Musket.